They say that parenting is a skill that only a few can get it right, and being a good parent is one of the most toughest things in the world. But sadly, some children grow up to have very toxic relationships with their parents. And for others, well, let's just say that they become so damaged that they decide to take matters into their own hands and do the unthinkable. This is the case of Jennifer Pan, who planned the murder of her mom, Big Pan, and permanently scarred her father, Han Pan. In 1979, Big and Han Pan migrated from Vietnam to Canada. They did so in search of a better life for their future children. After 6 years living in their newfound home, they had their first daughter, Jennifer, then followed by their son named Felix 3 years later. So it's no surprise that Jennifer and Felix were under a lot of pressure in the Pan household. In the case of 18-year-old Felix, he studied hard and went on to pursue mechanical engineering in one of the finest universities in Canada. It's no secret that his father influenced him to take this course so that he could later come to work for the same automotive company. Only this time around, his son would be a boss in the company. As for Jennifer, during the early years of her life, she was a pretty smart kid. She had just started learning the piano when she was only 4 years old, but also excelled in other musical instruments and was deeply interested in skating. Jennifer had plans to go on and win medals in the Olympics in figure skating, but a freak accident while training made her injure her knees, and she had to quit her lifelong dream. Seeing her dreams go up in smoke, Jennifer started getting out of control, and this was the beginning of her transformation into an entirely different person. She began failing her classes and consistently getting C's in her coursework. Her poor performance ended her up getting kicked out of her Catholic high school for poor grades and bad behavior. After discovering her poor performances early on, Jennifer's parents decided to take matters into their own hands. They began controlling her life and practically monitoring every step that she made. This included picking her up and dropping her off to school every day. They also forbade her from participating in any kind of extracurricular activities. Stressed out from her parents' high demands, Jennifer began to forging her report cards in the 11th grade to make it seem like she was scoring straight A's in front of her parents. Aside from being very tough on her about her schoolwork, Big and Han also did not take kindly to Jennifer having any male company in her life. They didn't allow her to date or even have any male friends come to visit her. They believed that having a boyfriend would distract her from becoming a doctor, which is what they wanted her to be. There is no doubt that with all their pressure around her, Jennifer felt like she was a prisoner in her own home. She felt trapped because her parents did not give her the freedom to do anything except go to school and focus on her education. But despite their best efforts to limit Jennifer's social life, she managed to meet a boy named Daniel while she was in the 11th grade. Jennifer instantly felt connected to him and the two started dating. But maybe the reason why was because she barely had any time to meet somebody else. The two would bond during band practices and soon hit it off romantically. Worried about her super obsessive parents, Jennifer knew that she had to keep the relationship a secret, and Daniel had no choice but to accept having a girlfriend on the down low. Towards the end of her high school years, Jennifer informed her parents that she had been accepted to Ryerson University in Toronto, one of the top performing universities in the province. But before she could graduate high school, she discovered she had failed a math class, which meant that the university had no choice but to revoke her admission. Since she didn't want her parents to find out about it, she boldly created a fake acceptance and presented it to her parents. Beck and Han were excited, but little did they know that this was the beginning of a string of lies that would completely destroy their lives. While living in Canada, Beck and Han worked hard at an automotive company based in Toronto, Ontario. The two worked around the clock for all the money they made and developed a consistent habit of saving because they wanted their children to have better careers than they did. They were extremely strict with them. They were what you consider as modern-day tiger parents, which are parents from the Asian community that push their children above and beyond to excel in their education. Simply put, these are parents that want to give their children the best that life has to offer, but at the same time, create a hard-working culture so that they can work for all they get. That means getting straight A's in school and excelling in their education so that they can choose career paths that can enhance their lives. As I mentioned it earlier, it was Beck and Han's dream for their daughter to become a doctor. However, after thinking about it for a couple of months, Han realized that medicine was not the best fit for her because Jennifer was scared of blood. But her father still wanted her to do something involving healthcare. So he told Jennifer to pursue a career in pharmacology. Though it was not her passion, Jennifer reluctantly accepted to do the course and told her father that once she did 2 years of schooling at Ryerson University, she would transfer to the University of Toronto to pursue a career in pharmacology. You still have to remember at this point, Jennifer had lied about graduating high school and enrolling in university. To make sure her lies were not exposed, she even told her parents that she had been awarded an all-inclusive scholarship to go to college, and so they didn't have to worry about paying any of her tuition fees. Jennifer also kept lying to her parents by regularly buying textbooks, studying, and even taking notes while she was in her bedroom at home. It was all part of the charade. Sadly, even as she pretended to be at the university and get good grades, Han and Beck were still very strict with Jennifer. They forbade her from going to parties or even going out at all. Jennifer was strictly allowed to do 2 things in her life that gave her the freedom of being outside. One of them was working at a restaurant, and the other was teaching piano lessons. Sadly, Jennifer continued to lie to her parents about her education for more than 2 years. But things began to fall apart when Jennifer was getting ready to transfer to the University of Toronto as was earlier agreed upon. Her father asked her whether she had been accepted into the university, to which Jennifer replied yes, she had, continuing the already super elaborate lie. To cover her tracks, she got online assistants to forge another acceptance letter to fool her parents into thinking that she would be attending the University of Toronto for pharmacology. In the 2 years that she had been lying to her parents, Jennifer was still dating Daniel. Unfortunately for her, she rarely had time to see him, but she was determined to change the situation. She decided to lie to her parents some more. Informed them that she would start spending more time with her new friend Topaz's house since commuting to school from her friend's place would be less intense. Her parents gave her the nod of approval because Topaz was one of her female friends. But little did they know that this was merely a lie. Enable her move in with Daniel and spend more time with him at his house. It's also important to note that Daniel was your typical bad boy who had had his fair share of run-ins with the law. Interestingly enough, another 2 years went by, and Jennifer continued with her crazy secrets. She had discovered someone online who continuously helped or fake her transcripts as well as create a fake degree, which she showed to her parents. She said this was the happiest they had ever been with her achievements. Graduation day arrived. Han and Vic were excited to attend their daughter's graduation ceremony. But once again, Jennifer cooked up another insane story and informed her parents that because of her graduating class was so big, each student was only given one ticket to attend. And so Jennifer had done this selfless thing to give the ticket to her friend. How sweet, right? If they only knew the truth. Since Jennifer had stretched out her lie to the point where her parents thought she had graduated, she lied to her parents some more that she had gotten a job working at a hospital's blood lab. This was the lie that would bring her tower of lies crumbling down. Now, Han and Vic were getting increasingly suspicious of their daughter when they noticed that she did not have a key card, as well as a single lab coat or uniform for the hospital lab. Yet she would leave for work every single day. To get to the bottom of things, her parents decided one day to offer to drive her to work. Jennifer instantly began panicking because if they took her to the hospital, they would discover that she doesn't work there. So when her parents dropped her off at the entrance, Jennifer suddenly ran inside the hospital and hid inside the emergency room. Han and Vic ran after her, but were unable to locate her whereabouts in the hospital. She hid in the hospital emergency room for hours until her parents left. But too late, her parents had already begun sniffing her web of lies from a mile away. Super suspicious about her living conditions, Han and Vic decided to ring up Jennifer's friend Topaz to find out whether she was actually staying with her or not. To their surprise, Topaz shocked them by telling them that she had not seen Jennifer for several days. Later that night, Han and Vic cornered their daughter and interrogated her until she finally cracked. She told them everything, how she had been lying to them for over 5 years. Instead of coming out completely clean, the crafty Jennifer decided to leave out some of the lies in her web of deceit. She admitted that she never went to the University of Toronto. She also confessed that for over 2 years, she had been living with Daniel and not Topaz. Though she came clean about some of these lies, she opted to leave out of the fact that she did not graduate high school. She also did not reveal anything about failing to attend Ryerson University. Once they found out some element of the truth, Han and Vic could not believe what their daughter had become. A pathological liar that had forged a whole fictional life for this long. It felt as if someone else was living under their roof. They were enraged and decided to be twice as strict just to punish her. They confiscated her phone and began following the mileage on her car. She was forced to quit her job as a waitress and was only allowed to go out to teach piano lessons. And once again, she was to come straight back home. Han and Vic still insisted that she continue to apply to colleges. Of course, they had no idea that she had failed to graduate high school more than 4 years ago. But the one thing they took away from her that made her completely depressed was the fact that she was not allowed to see Daniel ever again. Han even stated that the only time she would ever see Daniel was after he was buried 6 feet under. On the other hand, Daniel was not too keen on the secret relationship that he was having with Jennifer. What was the point of calling someone your girlfriend if you barely got to see them? That's when Daniel decided to end things with Jennifer and find himself a new girl. This didn't sit well with Jennifer, seeing the love of her life with another partner. It was the last straw that nudged her over the edge. Desperate to get Daniel back, Jennifer decided to make up another lie to crush the new relationship that Daniel was in. She told Daniel that 3 men had come over to her house and attacked her. She hid away to avoid getting spotted. But the next day, after the attackers were done, she went to the front porch and found a bullet in her mailbox. She then claimed that the attacker was masterminded by Daniel's new girlfriend who felt threatened by her existence. Obviously, Daniel did not believe a word that she said. He made the decision to move on with his life, which completely disoriented Jennifer. She truly felt that she had lost the love of her life. A few months later, Jennifer reunited with one of her old-time friends, Andrew, whom she had known from her middle school years. After spending a few hours together, the two opened up about their pasts. They both talked about how their parents were each giving them a hard time. Andrew later revealed that he had plans for ending his father's life because of things he experienced under his care. These were words that no doubt sparked the idea that maybe, like Andrew, she could also get rid of her tough parents. She began imagining how much freer and better her life would be if her parents were not in this world. She confessed this to Andrew, who agreed to help her carry out her plan. Andrew introduced her to a hitman who took up the job to end her parents' lives. The man in question went by the name Ricardo, and Jennifer paid him $1,500 to carry out the hit. The money came from most of the savings that she had set aside while teaching piano lessons. Fortunately for Jennifer's parents, Ricardo chickened out from taking them out and decided to escape with Jennifer's money instead. As soon as Jennifer realized that she had been ripped off, she was furious but still decided to go through with her plan. She still wanted to end her parents' lives. A couple of months went by and the lonely Jennifer yearned to be reunited with Daniel. Strangely, Daniel ended things with his previous girlfriend and got back to Jennifer. The two fell hopelessly in love with each other once more. But this love also saw them point at Jennifer's parents as a hindrance to their relationship. That's when Jennifer revealed her plans to take out her parents, to which Daniel agreed to help her out. Daniel connected Jennifer to a pair of hitmen who agreed to take out her parents for the sum of $20,000. A high expense, but something she was willing to pay for to finally be with the man she truly loved. So she decided to go through the same plans for the murder on the night of November 8, 2010. It would mark one of the darkest and most horrific nights of this family's history. Han went to bed at around 8 p.m. while Vic was busy watching television in the living room. Jennifer got out of the room and went downstairs to say goodnight. But her intentions were far from good. She was actually doing this so that she could unlock the front door. She then went into the study room and flicked the light 3 times as a way to indicate to the hired hitman. that it was time for them to do their job. At this point, the three men walked through the front door. One of them went upstairs to Han's bedroom to get him, and another went to Jennifer's room to grab her. One of the men got Jennifer to search for money around the house and give it all to them. Then they tied up Jennifer to the banister upstairs, but proceeded to tie up both of her parents and take them to the basement of the house. At this point, 5 gunshots rung around the air, and 3 of them hit Beck. One of the bullets hit her at the back of her head, and she died instantly. The gunmen then left the house after the job was done. But something miraculous happened. Determined to cheat the Grim Reaper, Han miraculously survived a horrific gunshot wound to the face. At the same time, Jennifer called the police and informed them, the operator, that they had just been the victims of a home invasion. But before Jennifer could finish narrating the ordeal, Han could be heard screaming in agony. As well as the pain from his awful injuries, he was heartbroken when he discovered his wife hadn't survived. Han crawled outside to get help, and this is when one of the neighbors spotted him. The neighbors got in touch with the police as well as the paramedics who came to take a look at the crime scene. Because of how severe his wounds were, Han had to be put into a medically induced coma to save his life. While all of this was happening, Jennifer was directed to give her statement to the police, claiming that a home invasion had taken place. However, one small detail would change the course of this tragedy forever. You see, Jennifer had not anticipated that her father, Han, would survive. So to her surprise, Han had seen Jennifer having a friendly conversation with the contracted hitman minutes after they fired their weapons. That's why he never bothered to go check up on his daughter after surviving the gunshot, because he knew that she was involved. While being interviewed by the authorities, police gradually became suspicious of Jennifer because the burglary seemed out of the ordinary. Why would the burglars take out 2 witnesses but decide to spare one who had clearly seen what they had done? It made no sense whatsoever. The police interviewed her, and even though they gave her every right to leave, their suspicions were justified because of her behavior. She seemed pretty tense and nervous for someone who had just been through such a traumatic event. There was even a point that Jennifer claimed that the men who had broken into their home to steal money and jewelry, but if their motives were purely to steal, the police wondered why both Beck and Han's cars were still in the driveway. These were luxury cars like a Mercedes-Benz and a Lexus that have a high resale value in the black market. But the truth would reveal itself only 3 days later. Han woke up and told the police an entirely different story to what Jennifer had said. According to Han, Jennifer was not tied up in the first place and was talking to one of the hitmen while her mother's body lay lifeless in a pool of blood. The police took Jennifer to the interrogation room once more, and after a grueling 9 hours of questioning, Jennifer finally cracked under the pressure. She first told them a modified version of the truth, that she hired the hitman to actually take her out because she wanted to end her life and was too afraid to do it. So then hired someone else to do it. Unfortunately, there was a miscommunication about who was to be taken out, so the hitman went for her parents instead. Obviously, the police did not buy any of this. And after one lengthy trial, the verdict was finally given. Jennifer and the three hitmen were all sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. This means that Jennifer will be 49 by the time she can request parole. As for Han, his injuries and their long-term effects were so severe that he was unable to go back to work. Today, Han is still haunted by the headaches and the trauma of seeing his slain wife before his eyes. He is now but a shadow of his former self, engulfed by fear, pain, anxiety, and depression. As for his son, Felix, he's living with his dad. But they have put a restraining order against Jennifer, so they never have to see her again. This goes to show you that how you raise your children can either make or break them. In this case, the strict parenting of the Pans severely traumatized their daughter, who in turn began living a fake life before finally lashing out at them in the worst way possible. She gave the go-ahead for her parents to have their lives cruelly taken from them, which later cost her her freedom. And that was all about this case. Please let me know in the comment section below what you think about this case. And if true crime or these videos are kind of your thing, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching. I hope I will see you in my next video as well. Till then, take care and stay safe.